You might want to think twice about moving here to Salem, Oregon. While there are some great things about living here, Salem isn't for everyone. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a few reasons why you might not want to move here. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Living in Salem, Oregon YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ryan Welty. And if you've been enjoying our real estate content, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay updated on all of our content. We're releasing a new video every other week. Today I'm walking on the Crozier Scenic Hiking Trail, and we are talking about 5 of the different reasons why you might not want to move to the Salem, Oregon area. Now, these are all comments I get from people like you on YouTube, or just conversations I have with clients or people that are calling me and thinking about moving here to Salem, Oregon area. Now, our first topic on the list today is the weather. Now, there's a stereotype of Oregon always being rainy, especially in the winter and spring times. And while there is some truth to a lot of rain here in Oregon, I believe that stereotype's a little overhyped. Now, if you're moving from a maybe desert region, like Arizona, Nevada, parts of California, you're going to feel like Oregon has a lot of rain. You might even feel like it has constant rain, but that really isn't the truth of the matter. Now, I do have another video that goes over all 4 seasons of Oregon fairly in depth. I'll link that here for you to check out, but we'll just cover it very quickly right now. Personally, I love Oregon's weather because we have 4 very distinct seasons. Our winters are fairly mild. We don't get into the freezing temperatures very often. At night we'll get frost, but it doesn't stay there all day. We get snow every 1 to 3 years, but it's only like an inch or two. The last time we've had a significant amount of snow, I think it was over 10 years ago, back in like 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. So we have very mild winters, but that is when we get a lot of our rain. It doesn't rain for weeks on end. Like right now, we're in the beginning of February and it's a beautiful sunny day. There are a few clouds in the sky, but it's not supposed to rain today, and it hasn't really rained in about 3 days, but there is rain in the forecast. Spring weather is kind of an interesting season. I don't think a lot of people love the weather in spring. It is getting warmer and a little bit more enjoyable to be outside, but the weather fluctuates a lot, so you can have what looks like a beautiful sunny day and then a rainstorm blow in. Usually they don't last all day, but it's kind of a damper on a nice sunny day when you get rained on for half an hour to an hour. Our summers here are getting warmer and drier than they have been in the past. If you look at houses in like the 80s or earlier here in Oregon, usually they don't have AC units unless they've been added afterwards, because back then the summers were so mild that you just didn't need an air conditioning unit to survive the summers. Nowadays, summers are getting warmer. We still have very mild summers compared to a lot of areas. Our high temperatures, or our average temperatures, are usually somewhere in the 70s to 80s, while we do get highs in the 90s, and we hit like 101, 102, like 1 to 2 times a year, but only for like a day or 2 at a time. Then it starts to calm back down a little bit. Fall is my personal favorite season. It is still fairly dry. It doesn't rain that much in the fall, but you can get some pretty big rainstorms and a few thunderstorms. We don't get crazy like weather events here. There aren't any hurricanes, typhoons. There was a freak tornado that went through Almsville and destroyed a few buildings, but that was over, I think, 15 years ago. But really, things like that, hurricanes, tornadoes, don't happen in this area. We have a very safe area as far as climate goes. Personally, I really enjoy the weather we have here in the Willamette Valley in Oregon, but it's not for everyone. I have lots of people I know that love to be in the heat and they go down to Palm Springs and enjoy the 100+ degree weather. You know, that's just not for me. I'd prefer to stay somewhere cooler, especially on a vacation. Okay, topic number 2 of why you might not want to move to Salem, Oregon is the homelessness issue. Now, this is a hot button issue, and we won't get into the weeds too far on this, just knowing that everyone has different opinions on solutions, but we'll just acknowledge the fact that there is a problem, especially here in Oregon, especially in cities along the I-5 corridor. Now, Salem is not unique. There is a homelessness issue in pretty much all the larger towns along I-5, Eugene, Albany, Dallas. That one's not really on I-5, but it still has some issues. Salem, of course, Woodburn, Portland, and everything up there in the metro area. Oregon actually has the 8th highest population of homelessness here in the US. Then we're ranked a little higher, 4th or 5th by population density. Since COVID, the homeless population in Salem has grown quite a bit. The number in Salem dropped to about 1,555 in 2003 for people experiencing homelessness in Salem, Oregon. But again, that number hasn't been calculated in 2024, and we're still waiting on numbers for the current year in 2025. Now, there are lots of different opinions on solutions for the homelessness problem. We won't get into those, but there are lots of government and charitable organizations in Salem that are out there to help people and help provide solutions. But for people that are watching this video, I'm assuming you're not watching this to move to Salem and maybe move under a bridge, but you're looking to buy a house in the area. And for you, I would highly recommend calling police stations in the area and talking to police chiefs or whoever you can get on the phone, and they'd be happy to tell you like crime statistics in areas where they receive less calls and their personal opinion of areas that are safer than others. I, as a real estate agent, can't give you that information because I'm not allowed to dissuade you from one area or another, but I definitely recommend you do your own research by calling that resource. Now, topic number 3 is going to be the cost of housing here in Salem, Oregon. Now, this one again is going to be a mixed bag depending on where you are coming from. Oregon is really close to the U.S. national average for average sales price of a home, which is $443,000, where Salem is at $439,900. According to Redfin, our local data puts us at $430,000 as the average sales price currently. Those numbers vary depending on what source you're looking at, but being close to the average means a lot of people think your area is going to be cheap, and a lot of people think your area is going to be expensive. So it really depends on what area you are moving from. Portland right now, for example, is hovering at $510,000 for their average sales price. So I often actually get people calling me from Portland that are moving here just because they can afford a bigger or a nicer house, or even a house at all here in Salem where they can't in Portland. The cost of homes definitely is an important factor. So depending on where you're moving from, Salem, Oregon may or may not be on the list. Now, topic number 4 is going to be taxes. And there's a few different categories of taxes, so we'll go over a few subsections here. First being state income taxes. Now, Oregon, unfortunately, is the 4th highest state for income taxes in the U.S. We do have a variable tax rate, with the highest tax being at 9.9%. Now, not everyone, of course, is going to be taxed at that. Depends on income, marital situation, and dependents. And to offset the high income taxes we have here in Oregon, we are one of the only 5 states in the U.S. that does not have a sales tax. Now, there is a sales tax on gasoline, cigarettes, and other tobacco products, and I think a few other products like that, but they're built into the price you see. So when you go to a gas pump, whatever price you see listed is the price you're going to pay, but the tax is already built into that price. But if you go to the grocery store, go out to eat, buy a car, buy a house, there's no sales tax you owe the government for the purchase of the house. There are taxes that you have to pay for houses, like property taxes, but there's not one associated with a sale of a property. As an Oregonian, I'm just used to the fact that there aren't sales tax on anything. So when I go on vacation to other places, I drive up to Washington, and then you go out to eat and you get the tax, it is really annoying to see a little extra price there that you weren't expecting, because in Oregon, we're just so used to the price being the price, never having to add anything to it. Now, our last tax category is going to be property tax. And Oregon actually does pretty good on this. We are ranked 25 out of all the states for property taxes. So we're right in the middle, not super high, not super low. So you could go somewhere else and get lower property taxes, but depends on what you're looking for. But as far as I'm concerned, they're not super unreasonable. And we also do taxes off of assessed value, not the actual market value of a home. So if you had like a house that was probably going to sell for around $350,000, the assessed value would probably be closer to $150,000, and that's what you'd be taxed on. And then on top of that, there are statutes in place where your assessed value can't go up by more than 3% a year unless you do a property improvement, which makes it so your property taxes aren't going to get hiked up crazy amounts every year. You just have that 3%. Even if there's a sale on the real estate side, the assessed value still cannot match that sale, again, unless there is significant improvements to the property value where like an addition was added or significant remodel where they had to pull permits and things like that. Now, our last topic of the video is going to be the slow pace of life here in Salem, Oregon. If you are wanting to live in a city that has a lot to do, if you want to go out to like nightclubs, go dancing, go partying, and have all these events to do all the time, Salem is not the place for you. Salem really is a slow city where there's not a lot of activities, especially not a lot of nightlife going on. Despite being one of the bigger cities in the state, Salem really is run more like a small town where there's not that huge entertainment market to Salem, and with lots of things to do. Now, there are community events and activities, a lot of family-oriented activities, but you don't have the huge shopping centers and the nightclubs and the entertainment businesses that you will find in other areas like up in Portland. So if you're fine with living in a slower area of town and just commuting when you want to have fun and go party and things like that, maybe Salem's still the place for you. But if you want to live close to that kind of an area, then you might want to be looking up further north in Portland. Well, if you still think Salem sounds like a great place to live after all the topics we just talked about, then you might want to consider giving me a call. I would love to chat with you about the area and whether or not Salem is right for you. Feel free to give me a call, text, or an email. I would love to help you make a smooth move to Salem, Oregon. But for now, I hope to show you around town.